Good afternoon. I'm Alfonso Zianso to the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. It is better late than never. Is all things considered, airing right now from the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio, taking you to the southeastern side of Liberia, Alan Brown. Alright, this is a gospel song. If you're from the southeastern side, specifically Grangita County, you know exactly what this song sings. A gospel artist, Alan Brown. Oh, this is what we prioritize right here on the LPRO to showcase some of the good things and the quality of Liberia. Not everything coming from Liberia is bad. Obviously, there are good people there. Among good people, there are bad ones. And we also have to bring to light some of the good artists and some of the good aspects and some of the good things that are happening in Liberia. And so Alan Brown is one of the person that keeping the culture and the traditions of Liberia. He's a person from Grangita County, Republic of Liberia. Welcome to Grangita this afternoon. It's good to be back home, and this is why we always like to keep it real, to be authentic in our conversations, keep it proportional, and discuss those issues that matter. In Liberia, right before our own feet and in our own server, we are not perfect, and so we have to do everything right to give conversation to what is unfolding in Liberia. The trouble is everywhere. There's nowhere that is free. You see the guy we have here, Twitter every night. There are issues, no question about that. But the context in which those conversations are conducted is one of the things. We want to get started very shortly. We want to get a program going, but this is the guy we want to showcase here, Alan Brown, and this is the song that introduces my program right here. And this one here is by gospel artists K Praise and Joseph Bass. Let's see here this one.
Hallelujah, giving, hallelujah, giving God the praise, hallelujah, giving the
all right, hallelujah, giving the higher praise. Time check here in the East Coast of the Liberia Public Radio is 2:32 Eastern Standard Time. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe Thank you for sharing your afternoon, your evening with us, depending to your locations. Of usual, I'm Afonso Zayenso of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. In today's editions of All Things Considered, we will take a review on the local dailies in Liberia. That is the news outlet, what is emerging, what is happening, and hopefully we can have a very brief conversation here. As you know, usually at this time we're on, but I a little bit came on late today. You know, there are other things you have to catch up with before you can come here. But what is important when your viewers and listeners are anticipating to see your program, and you have to come on. And it's not good because they are looking out to see what they can hear from us, and that we can have these conversations in a civil context. And so sometimes we feel guilty if we do not provide justifications why we are not coming on. Then that's a problem itself. It's a breach of contract, not a rating contract, but they anticipate that we come so that we can give and they can share with us as well. So we're going to take a review on some of major news from inside Liberia. Holding everything constant, we have 39 days to go if, and I'm saying if, the stay-in is lifted. But there are signals we begin to see that there will be the election potentially could go ahead as scheduled for November 8th. That is the senatorial races in the 15 political subdivisions in the country. Based on the fact that IT experts from the ECOWAS and other friendly governments, they are in the country, it is a good indicator, or they are signals to suggest that the election will go ahead as planned. And that's what we anticipate. And the Liberia Public Radio and that of the African Star came out to give our voice, and that there were certain conditions that were put down that we were suggesting to national government and those in authority to adhere to in order for free, fair, transparent election to take place. And that was one of the recommendations for Liberia to call for the government or NEC to ask for help, because that was the mandate by the National Election Commission. They didn't ask and say, "You're pleased, your turn try." No, that was I say it has to be done. It must be clean. So I was quite surprised to see since 2017, and for people to go to bed and sit on it and they expect everything just going to be automatic. So what was the problem? Why the mandate of NEC or the Supreme Court, which is a separate entity of government, one of the branches of government, asking certain things to be done? So who are the violators? Yeah, the principal players themselves, the executive branch, not the executive branch, the legislative branch, because they're going to be going into this process. So it is incumbent upon that body, the committee of the House, to allocate, to make appropriate budget in order for these elections to be conducted. Elections is not cheap. It's very costly all over the world. So when you have some $20 million budget coming down to 17 coming down to 8-7 and so forth, so on, that is a potential problem. And I don't know why nobody signaled that, and nobody see that coming ahead of time. And they think they're just going to have the process, and the process is going to be comprehensive. It's not. It doesn't work like that. And I was so surprised by these politicians, and all of them, no exceptions, all inclusive, that were campaigning. They are campaigning, they're crying and drinking that the soup is hot, but at the same time, they're drinking the pepper soup. Look, you can't be in two places at the same time. And these are the tough questions we anticipate to ask these people. If you do not believe in the process, how can you participate into the process? Will you validate the result of the process? And that's the $1 million question. And who do you think really have the power to make sure that the fundings required by NDC mandate government to provide that? They play the budget comes from. And the sad day, they are unable to come together for something common for the sake of national interest, such as elections. Election does have consequences, the aftermath of election. But these 103 men deliberately, on purpose, categorically refuse, probably because some of them who are not seeking re-election at this time, so it's nothing. But for those who even contesting, so why nobody forecast, why nobody think ahead of the game? This is what the Supreme Court of Liberia said last year, and we have to do everything possible to empower this, the National Election Commission. Nobody see that coming because most of our politicians, they are short-sighted. They have a short vision. They do not think ahead. They do not hope to put structure in place. But the only thing is to cry foul. And that happens if you fail to put the real requisite process into play. Life you with no alternative but to cry foul. Because when the process is not comprehensive, when the process is not transparent, then of course. So we are consistently called on both players, be it the oppositions, the government. These people we are elected in, whether we voted for them directly or indirectly, they are representing us. You can go in the chamber there to argue. I can go there to argue. But it is our votes. The Liberian people vote is the one that took them there. But just to deploy some common sense or to be able to just come to, they don't even agree on anything. So how do we anticipate, how do we expect the country to even prosper? There are three branches of government. The executive has a responsibility, the legislative branch has a responsibility, the judiciary. But however, with these separate functions, they work concomitantly. They must work. If one side falls short of the other one, it's a weight on the other one. And that's why it's been happening. And these people failed to hold that sort of conversation since 2017. Now they are catching up. It's the same behavior of these lawmakers who are seeking re-election. The 9 years, they didn't do anything. They are working overnight now. So they are making promises. They are telling electors things that they're going to do that they didn't do the last 9 years when they were occupying that position. But until we can have this sort of conversations with the electorates to tell them, because their decision does impact us, and it is important that we do that. So I'm happy. I want the process to go ahead, but it must be free. It must be transparent. We need that voter roll to be clean, and not just only clean. It must be published. It's not only just be published. It must be challenged and validated so that we can have a free process. Even with the stay in order, all sides, the government, the oppositions, the group called themselves independents, and everybody, they're all over the place campaigning. So the violation is being done by all groups, all parties to the process. They are all. I think that's one of the things what his name said, Nathaniel McGee. I don't agree with my things that he says, but that's at that point, I think that it's fair. All because there is uncertainty into the minds of these politicians, and there are two things involved. Okay, I'm going to win this process. I'm popular. The vote seems to be in my direction. And the other one there, okay, I got to be preparing. Look, the laws of the land, it has to be enforced. And part of that enforcement is to adhere to them, no matter who you are. When the court says we should not do this at this time, well, who's talking? Nobody can talk. All we're going to see now is justifications of their action. Oh, I'm doing this. Who's going to do this? We all of us, very defiant. We are all challengers. And that's the process. And that's the problem that we are facing in the country. And I want that voter roll to be published. Besides the cleaning up, it must be published. It must be challenged. It must be validated, and that we all will know. And I can for sure tell you, nowhere in the world that you're going to have election free and fair. And one good thing, I never saw anywhere where election results has been overturned. You go to court, at the end of the day, when the court takes decisions, That election, you will never hear say, oh, let's go for something very, 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 very suddenly. So we have to do everything possibly we can to make sure to preserve, because that's part of our that is part of our sovereignty. We have to guard the process. We have to make sure that the process is free, fair, transparent, and conducive, so that all will be heard. How serious our leaders take this? Everybody becomes hyper, becomes tension packed when the process is on hand. But after that, even to do things to make the process work, they don't. And that's very, very, very serious. Even yeah, the election right here in the U.S. right before our own feet. You see how it is. President crying foul because, especially politician, if it seems to go against them, then they turn to time crier. Then they begin to pull string here and there. Oh, this is what's going to happen. The people are not getting the process going and all of that. But we have the responsibility to make sure that we do everything within our power as a people, as a nation, as an institution, that the process is safeguarded. And we have that strength to do that. So we are anticipating, based on the information that we are seeing from the official website of the National Elections Commission, 39 days to go. So it seems to me the process is on course, and we want that to be carried out. So all of us have a piece of job to do to make sure that we create that sort of public awareness, to make sure that these issues that are matters to the elections are discussed, they are comprehensive, and we are clear into our expositions in terms of how the process is going to work. But there are a lot of things at stake, with this election. It's not just the senatorial elections, it's the referendum. Are interested in occupying state power. That's all they are interested. They are not telling the electors the other thing, the other aspect of the elections. Nobody is talking about that. I don't know why, because they don't find interest. It's all about gaining state power. They don't care. But until we can be smart and put all on the table and begin that sort of conversation, it will be good for our country. And so, as we said, we're going to take a review on the some of the things from the daily news outlet. The liberal progressive of the Liberia Public Radio, Samson Branto, started this conversation recently. Now, according to today's edition is the 9th of October, taking a review on the local dailies in Liberia. Front page, major news beat capture here said, Liberia ruling CDC recalls all government officials from campaign team. And that's the picture here that I've been reviewing this story. The chairman of the Coalition for Democratic Change, Molbake Molu, has rescinded the nominations of all those covered by the relevant provisions of the Code of Conduct. There we go. Samson Toll started this talking point. And I think I've been following T. Max Gilate to also pinpoint that aspect of the Code of Conduct. So, there are a lot of folks who are very, very disingenuous. They are opportunists, they are sycophants, and all of that are embedded within government or positions or group of people. Just 2 days ago, the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, who happens to be the Chief of Staff to the President, he is the direct representation, he is the direct chief negotiator of the President. The Minister of State, the minister, he also is the Chief of Staff to the President. You have the direct ears of the President. The President are a court of advisors. I don't know, but it's all over the world. Politicians, they see something that is wrong, deliberately wrong, is white, and they say, no, it is not like this. And part of that is these people's inability to look into the leader's eyes and try to be very honest and frank and say, yes, Mr. President, my boss, This one just not applicable because there are laws on the land. Oh my God, this guy calling me in, but I'm on air. I gotta call him back out from Liberia. This is not right. You have the chief of staff, who was the minister of state for presidential affairs, was very defiant, was very defending the position of these people that have been appointed. Now you have the chairmen of the party now coming out. It's a clear indication that our political leaders, they lack the will and wisdom to administratively handle issue. They know that it's part of the law. It is glaring that you can't do it. Even though we see everywhere in the world, but like for here, they don't have anything like a code of conduct and all of that here, but they have provision. You saw like Donald Trump here telling William Barr to go after his political opponent, Joe Biden and other folks and all of that. So we see these sort of violations are everywhere. But the 1986 provision or the code of conduct, it said that government, there are certain things you're not supposed to do as a government official. You need to resign this number of times. First of all, that time, the time allotted, the 2-year time is stupid. It doesn't make no sense. How can you tell somebody to resign way ahead, 2 years, if you want to run? So, well, and I believe people that put that law, people that promulgated and passed that law, they were just doing it for themselves. And that's what you got if you have group of people who are narrow-minded, who are not taking holistic approach of national issue. It's just about themselves because they were there. So they put in laws that satisfy their curiosity or that satisfy their political desire. So what they did was they put a clause, they tie in other people. This is what we want to do. You should resign 2 years ahead of time. You don't even know. You could die. Anything can happen. Why would somebody? I haven't seen that. And it was unfortunate that this issue, to what extent it was debated, debated critically, look at the pros and cons, and looking at the involvement of people, and time has significantly to involve in the democratic process all over the world in the 21st century, for them to say, okay, resign 2 years ahead of time if you want to contest. Are you kidding me? Will you even have the resources? It's an election, you just wake up and go into election. Will you even have the resources to execute or to prosecute your election? There must be a specific time reasonable. Yes, I support the idea that people should relinquish certain positions because what happened? People abuse power. They abuse power. So if you let them to occupy certain positions, that it will be misimplied. They will do it differently. So I agree that people should relinquish power when they are contesting. And I think they shouldn't just go because African people, our leaders, they do not have that sort of sense of conscience, if not all significant portion. I hope this is also extended to the legislative branch of government. People we have a country that we are in a serious economic crisis. You have the Cubans, you have current people that are representative. They are going to leave a vacuum. They are contesting for senatorial positions. So what happens if they become senator? You create another vacuum whereby election going to be held. That puts another financial burdens on government. But guess what? I think if that is extended to them, and there's those people who want transparency, small size government for some of us who believes in that, these are the kind of things they're supposed to advocate for. These are some of the things they're supposed to put for. First of all, that 9 year is crazy. It's just unbelievable because why? None of these people, I don't care how they are involved in corruption, they will justify their action, they will argue, they have the resources to take the best lawyers, and potentially the case will be in their favor. So they will never resign. I never saw that happening, that anybody accused or does something bad and the media, like here, in the Western world, if you are caught in certain things, the media will pound on your door, and the next thing they will still be defiant. Get me wrong, politicians, they don't easily give up. We know them. But when the media will bombard you, you know that in the Western world. And what happened the next day, they're going to come and take a paper here. I am My family, I brought disgrace to my family, and blah, 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 and I resign. At least they are bored to do that. How many times have you seen any of the officials of government did that? They were made, they said, they take it, they do this, and by the time we talk about it in the next 2-3 days, it disappears from the media. And those people are there. And we still have the guts to go and re-elect or elect these people. You know, I wish this sort of system that is here. You know, some people political career is being cut off, or premature death, premature political death, if you will. Because if you do some stupid thing and you are caught into that, you can easily recover from it. You can. The former VP, presidential John, and there are a lot of people. The former governors of New York and all of those, there's nothing small. Because when that happens, forget it. Just go into the private sector or find something else to do. Because those records will be there for good, for a lifetime. But it's not the case. Entire country like Liberia, they do stupid thing after 2, 3, 4 days, one month, they get political elevation. They're being called to serve in other positions. So people get away with a lot of things. So for this reason, it's used to people. It's nothing to them. It's nothing. And I think that is very, very bad. We need to crack down on our politicians as well. It doesn't matter which side, whether you are for government, for an opposition, all should be held accountable, including all of us. We are not exempted from the process. In order to have a viable society, those groups or all of us that constitute what makes up the society, we must be held liable of our action. But because we are deliberately selective in to get certain things done, we are very selective to talk certain things that favors and that doesn't favor us. So it makes it very difficult. And this is why these people are always in the habit of giving justification to their action. And we need to do that. Now, the ruling party now is saying, okay, they're going to withdraw this. So this comes back to the point. We need to go back to the days of Samuel Doe Turbo, where there will be authority by the municipal government. The superintendent, the mayors, the commissioners, these people are elected by the local, by their own people. But when you give extraordinary power to the executive branch of government, then it becomes a problem. Then democracy is to some extent is being compromised. You see here, mayor, city council, governors, these people, they are all on the ballot. So more or less, the president cannot dismiss them. The president cannot suspend them because these people they are constitutionally elected by their locals. We need to go back to that system where right now it's just crazy, where an extraordinary or dominant power is being given to the executive branch of government. You appoint superintendent, you appoint town chief, you appoint client chief, commissioners, and all of that. Where these people loyalty goes, it goes to the executive branch of government, because as long as you are appointed, your loyalty goes to the executive, because you work directly under them. They are your immediate supervisors. So these people, they need to be arguing about that. Those are things they're supposed to be. When we're talking about good governance, these are some sort of components, because the transparency, it has to be broadened. We can't kind of we still want to be transparent, but there are still things on our sleeves, or we try to cherry pick. Yeah, okay, we can work with this one, but we can't work with it. No. We got to take a holistic approach. That's a country. We are not talking about family business. We are talking about a sovereign nation. So people in Grandview, people in Sano, people in Maryland, people in Nima, they need to elect their superintendents, their local mayors, and part of that is they will better know these people who are contesting. They will know their characters. They will know what they are bringing to the table. They will know what their associations in the local communities. But when you have a superintendent, and I'm happy that the ruling party is reconsidering their decisions in fulfillment of the code of conduct. Because when you have a superintendent, when you have a city mayor, is on a campaign team of a ruling party, that is a team. There's some sort of psychological impact. There is advantage being to proportion to the ruling establishment. And you know, it's not like here. People are very careful here how to use finance campaign to resources, but it's not like that. And a lot of these people, they'll even come us today to tell us those who raising money, they have their supporters here in the U.S., even in Liberia. Can any of them disclose how much they raise, how they're going to use, and after this is what left they're going to do it? No. Where is Jesse Jackson Jr. today? He's in jail because he messed time with campaign money, buying $10,000 watch and all of that. He's behind bar in federal prison. Can you do that in Liberia? The spelling word there is N-O. No. So there are things that we need to work on in order to have a vibrant country. Are these politicians are they willing to let these go? All of these things we are talking about, some of these concerns? No. The CA, they are blind, play blind eyes to A. It doesn't matter. They play into the minds of our people. They take advantage of situation and things that they become more or less like a soothsayer. So things that they look in the eyes of the people because of people are in desperation, and they can easily look at you and tell you, say, oh, this is what Alfonso wants to hear from me. So to go to those talking points and tell these things exactly, and then we answer, they say, yeah, and then people clapping, we cheering them up. They are just playing. We play right into their hands, and I don't think that's a very good thing to do. We need to take a second thought. So I'm happy that based on this information that we are getting from front page, if it is true and true, then it's good. It's good that that they are considering they are considering that sort of decision, and I hope it will be good. Let's see here what Daily Observer says. Who sent NEC staff to Guinea for election to monitoring? Well, let them go and go learn. Let them go learn new skills. Let them go learn something, how elections are conducted. You know? Yeah, let them go. How they are going, what they're going to learn, will those skills be applicable to our process? Would they learn something and bring it to improve our system? I don't know. But let them go and go learn. I think that's what we need to do. And I hope these ECOWAS experts and these international group that are in Liberia to help with the voter roll, I think it's a good process. And I'm hoping that Mr. Tahiran Flomo, who is the public affairs director or communication director of the National Election Commission, will answer our call so that we will be able to have in here and have some of these critical conversation here. And not just only then, these political leaders, we need to have their full commitment to the process. Are they part of the process? And if they are part of the process, have they consented? Have they agreed to this? Would they acknowledge the results? In the absence of all of these many apprehensions that we have about the process, are they willing? As far as I'm concerned, if you know that the process is not free, it's not fair, it's not looking transparent, if it is cloudy, if it is inconclusive, do not participate. But if you look at it as a fraudulent process and you go into A and you want to come back the next day to say, oh yeah, I know I went into A because that's what the Constitution say, and then later on you want to say, oh, because you don't win, you don't want to acknowledge the result, then you're not being fair to your country. And you're not even fair to yourself, because these very people, so they want to be in two places at the same time. They are hoping to go there, they're going to win. They are not sure, or the look at the field is in their favor. But guess what? Even if they are unsure of the process and they went in that process and participate in that process, if they win and they know very well that the process was not free and fair, transparent, they will validate the result. Then at that time, yeah, my people turned out, my people voted for me. But when it goes against them, then they begin to get all sort of complaint. Certain voters were they were disfranchised. Certain people were not allowed. Certain people were disqualified. The process was not free. The process was not transparent. So I think we need to have a commitment from these political parties. We need to understand what is their position. If the process is not clean, if it is not comprehensive, if it is not published, if it is not validated, if it is not challenged, and those quality, it comes with the package of having a transparent process. Because if I'm in Painesville, for example, district, whatever district it is, and all of us in the community, we have the opportunity to review and see who are the new voters. Why are people always even registering? Why can't they create a system? Why they can have a date? That's where I think they need to call for help to create a system. How many times do you register here? You don't. You just update your information. The only people you see registering here are new voters. So why they can't initiate, why they can't call for that sort of process? Why waste government resources? When people register in Maserado, the registrants, it should be in tight. Nothing should be wrong. Not there should be any other thing. The only thing you can do is to update the system, because there are other people who fell below the age belt, and maybe after 3-4 years now they are 18, they are 19, and they are eligible to, based on the constitutions of our country. Those are the only people to be new voters. Why not spend good money? Why not spend something good? Why not put something tangible in place that it will cost government less money, that will be sustainable, that is more genuine than always doing all sort of things? How many times do you register here to vote? You register once. And if for any reason you leave your location or decide to even move whatever place, there are options also there. You can also mail in your ballot. All you're going to do, you just go and update your information. By the time you even go to call your name tag, they know exactly who we are. Why not we hire people? Why not the government of Liberia? Why not the lawmakers? Because more or less it is in their interest, in their political interest. If they so desire that they want the process to be free, fair, transparent, they have to do everything possible. Some of these people, they're from America, they're from Europe, they're from all over the place. They've seen the process. They know how the process works. We don't have to ring school bell behind their ears to tell them they know. But these people cleverly deploy political tactics to give you and myself headache, to keep talking, and they pretend as if they don't know what they are doing. Or because these 103 people, their inability to sit and talk on some common things for the good of the country, they are unable to do that. They are unable, and there's no any indication that they would even be able to. And there are a lot of tons of examples and multiple points that we can make reference to that. The summary disappearing of these people. I'm not talking about individual candidate come out and what government do, these people that disappear, blah, 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 and blah, blah. You know? No. But I want to see Nyombli Kanga Lawrence, Tomo Fala, Akaras Gray, Darius Dillon, Senator Sir Joseph, and all of those big dogs everywhere in the Senate, both Senates and House of Government. There are people that get the attentions of the executive. There are people who are factors in every system. They are principal players everywhere. I want to see them coming together to be, for God's sake, for the good of our country, to agree on some things, some critical things. Say, yeah, even though I'm from CDC, I'm from Liberty Party, I'm from ALP, but we need to talk on this. Or we need to work on this goal. We need to come to a consensus. In the legislative branch of government, it's all about consensus building. It's all about the vote. So if you have these political leaders, if you have these politicians who are unable to talk to one, who cannot even agree, who can even say, okay, this is the legislation that I've drafted. This is the bill that I plan to propose to the plenary to submit. Hey, you from CDC, you're from Liberty Party, you're from this. I want you to take this review this bill here. Perhaps there are some ideas you can bring in, and it can be incorporated as a bipartisan bill for the good of the country. You ever saw that happening? Okay, we've been busy this week here at maybe Akara Gray called Darius Dillon. You know what? You're from CDC. Respect your political ideology. I know you are a strong supporter of XY people, but can we sit this Saturday at a local place and get out of Capitol building and have a conversation? And share your vision. That doesn't mean you will see that happening here. And see and get their input, incorporate their idea. Let it be critically to examine. And that can pass into law. But if you just therefore honor your party, only your partisan talk to partisan, you can't get across on the other side to extend your hand, a hand of solidarity and good faith, then it's for nothing. And these are the kind of people we like. So it doesn't matter to me as far as I'm concerned. You can talk all you talk, you can say what you say. If you cannot create a hallmark, if you can't create a sort of a mark or something, the legacy of a lawmaker is the piece of legislation that you put in place. That's why people remember people. Yes, during the time of Senator XYZ, it was through his initiative, through his effort, this law, this legislation has become a bill today. We see that happening here. Sometimes, yeah, in as much as crazy it is, sometimes Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi, the state, we used to see the late John McCain and Senator Lindsey Graham. You see them work. The other group, they get a bipartisan group by the Gang of Eight. These are people from different political parties. Do we need to have a special section or schooling process to tell our politicians on Capitol Hill how to go about to work in a bipartisan direction? Let them tell us. We will be glad to conduct that. But I strongly believe these people, they know all of that, but it is on purpose. It is a deliberate action by them. And they are deploy a political tactics to keep them holding onto state power. And it has perfectly worked for them. And we, the ordinary people, the ordinary electorates, becomes victims of their action. Now, for the last 9 months, 9 years, everybody on an extra, they are running 80 miles per hour to catch up. Yeah, things that they have not done before, they are doing it. I can't tell when last my Senator Jack Reed and tell us, hey, if you let me, I'm going to build this bridge. I can't tell when last Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of my state calls for the meeting and say, I'm gonna build this bridge. If you let me, in fact, I'm gonna be a humanitarian. That's not your job, my dear friend. That's not your job. You are not elected to be a humanitarian. You need to provide the avenue. You need to have a conversation, piece of legislations. You need to put it into place. That there are NGOs, there are non-for-profit organizations already that we have, menace Liberians. That's how you build up society. You're a lawmaker. You already taken fabulous check bonuses away, and on top of that, you have created another institution within the institution. So how you expect the ordinary people that have this little organization, how you expect them to survive? And how you expect the government to be transparent? You take your own, you give it different names, and you decide to bring it, under the disguise of something, and you say you want to champion the cause of the people. But you know what? That's what happens when you have we have a lazy electorate. You have an electorate who's just say yes to anything. When you have an electorate that is unable to question the people, the very people that they support, that's what happens. So what happens when this man become head of his NGO and he cannot win, he cannot get the re-election? Where you think you're going to get the money from? So that's the very first question we need to ask. Where are they getting the resources from? Because they abuse power, because they use their political strength to go to businesses, they go to people to give them donation, and they don't even disclose their donors. If you can't disclose your donors, you're in serious problem. That's that's a violations of election laws. They are there, but how many people adhere to those laws? And we think we're going to get a what? Fresh, good, transparent, open government? Absolutely not. How many of those real non-for-profit organizations that are being inexistent, providing services to the people, that government, national government, that the government will allow these people that they will go for real bidding process before the thing comes, they put it out there, it's just a charade. They already finished finding their people. Those who are already in it, those that are in the system, they don't give them chance to participate in the process. The process is not free. The process is not transparent. It's all about political interest, because these people, they establish their own NGOs overnight. Their family members, their whatever group of people they have, they are over it, so they push their agenda, and those contracts end up being rewarded to them. And yet then still say we want a transparent government. It doesn't work that way. So we have a lot. We have a lot to recover, and we have a lot to do if we want a government, if we want government to succeed, if we want things to happen. We have a lot to do, and it comes with ultimate sacrifice, our willingness, our authenticity, the genuineness we bring to the process. There are some parties, there are some people can disagree with their party when they are going in the wrong direction. But again, I understand the behavior of governments in third world countries such as Liberia. When you come high, they go after you. See how people challenge national government, how they challenge their local leaders. Even they are within the party, they will remain in the party, but they will also declare, they will make their position known as to what they're going to be doing. Can we easily do that in Liberia or anywhere around? You stay in the party and you come out, yes, I'm part of this party, I'm a senator, I'm a representative, but because of X, Y, Z, I am not giving my vote to this party. Probably the next day they're going to find your hair somewhere. But these are the painful things that we see. This is how democracy works. You have a former presidential candidate for a particular party here, Mr. John Casey, who is a former 2 times governor of Ohio, battleground state. Went at the Democrats National Convention. He spoke, and he came out clear. Like, you know what? This is not about the party. It is about the interest of the Liberian people, and say, I am supporting this party. He did not resign. So can we, by coincidence, we kind of have this sort of system if we want a transparent process? Do I have to leave from TWP to Unity Party, from Unity Party to LPP, from LPP to NDPF, from NDPF, from LA to CDC to ALP, and all those million parties? Can we have that sort of system so that we will challenge the work of democracy and how the process should be? I stay in my party, I will be here unless I'm expelled. Do we have that courage? Can we allow those sort of system to work? Somebody was telling me now, it's crazy. Somebody was telling me if you are sedition and you can't date or you can't have any friend with other party. Are you kidding me? So when you CDC, man, you can't have a Women Unity Party or ALP. That's how polarized and dangerous our political process has become in Liberia. You talk to most of the people, they will tell you. Democrats, it's a strategy. Jim Carville of one of the former strategies of Bill Clinton. He's a diehard Democrat. His wife, Mary Madeline, is a strategy for Republican. Can you imagine that these people say, but can you do that? No. If you see this person, you can't have anything much closer with a person from Unity Party or Liberty Party because you either be seen as an agent or whatever thing. So the beauty of democracy is so vast to the extent that it incorporates a lot of good things. And that comes with tolerance, political tolerance, and you persevere. And that's one of the things that I've come to realize. Our leaders, they lack the political tolerance, and that's why they make some loose statement, and they do not even have the courage to come back to say, "Oh, this is what I said." But I'm sorry to the Liberian people. They will come and give justification. They will tell us during the Samuel Doe time, this is what so politicians say. Helen Johnson said time. This is what people say in Helen Johnson's time. So when we say now, what does it mean? That's who they are. Very defiant and very defensive. Unapologetic to the ridiculous statements. And we, the civilians, we have to defend these people to reckless statements that are so dangerous to the country. Yeah, we'll talk about the issue of the 4 auditors. Perhaps our friend, Betty and the rest of the other folks, Gifted and all of those people. It's sad. I don't even know what's going to be the conclusion. In the middle of that, every day is some sort of drama. Every day is some kind of little fairy tale or some kind of story that comes about that the virus. It's almost like you can almost make some sort of a comparison. Some of the crazy things that go on here is just almost similar to what happened in Liberia. In the middle of the taxes we're talking about, by the time we go low COVID-19 down, the president came about and everything. And the interesting thing about news is something that is current. So when something is happening now, that's what I'm going to prioritize. Anything that is arbitrary, anything that is past, anything that has happened is no longer a news. News is something that is current, that is happening now. So for example, I'm here talking this here. If there was any information that I get right now from back home, that is an instant news that needs to come out to the people. So the 4 men, even though we're still talking in the middle of that, you have 3 other young men now, for whatever reason, whatever society it is, nobody knows their whereabouts. Whether they are alive, they are not alive, their civil liberties being seized. And they say they in whatever society or whatever stuff. This is just unbelievable. What kind of medicine they get? Charles Taylor and Prince Johnson, Bully, and all of those people came, and everybody they ran away. The Zolder, all of them ran away. But they have people, children to whatever unknown land, whether they are on water, they are on top of the water, or wherever they are, whether they're eating or not. And you see this sort of system going through, and nothing is happening, as if it's normal. This is very unusual. It brings to mind the days of 70s, 76, I remember 1976, 79, around that time in Sino, when this lady was, this Boyoho thing here from Wuleta, you know. Yeah, I was in demonstration school, I remember very well. And there were a lot of big government officials. Those days, the government of Liberia vehicles were using a rare license plate called GV. And I remember the very those that were in Sino, who knows or who followed the story, the jeep that went to Sino, those Azuzu, those little small Azuzu jeep The license plate of that Jeep was GV20. Those from Sano who follow that story, they know it very well. And when GV20 finally hit Sano County, after a week or two, the story changed. The county superintendent, the late James Theater, the Attorney General, the late Mongo, and all of the big people, at the end of the day, they were picked up. I'm telling you. And the day the superintendent was of last, I remember we're in class in those days. And this guy, when the pick up and the other one, they would be laughing. Oh man, the GV20. When you hear that siren sound, boom, moving there, it means GV20 knock somebody down. Yes. So I'm wondering whether we have that sort of system. Why with three human beings that created under the divine wisdom of God and say they are in-soul people, or what kind of people holding up to them? I don't get it. But at the same time, these people are involved in sort of let's look at the time factor, all of these things, people happening. This sort of unprecedented rape, abuse of women, in time with this, coincide with this electoral process. We must begin to have a critical thought or critical conversation. Why is it happening now? It is a clear indication, it's a good signal for us to figure out the days of those rituals has returned to Liberia. It is. I can say that. And usually without all of the, I've contacted Moses Carter. We had a conversation. I hope to have him here. Is the police, first of all, that we accuse people of alleged crime, and then these people are turned over to the Ministry of Justice for prosecution and stuff like that, to have a conversation. And I hope to talk to some of the families. I'm not a guy who is, when I sit behind this microphone, I ask questions, whether you are the victim or not. Because we are come to realize the victim can become the victor, and the victor can also become the victim. So whether you are a mother or a son, I feel deep with inside because it's a life involved. But those people too, they must be asked, because when these people are involved into the ritual, things that we've been seeing happening, they sign a covenant, and that covenant is some sort of agreement. So it becomes like a full agreement within their cycle, and more or less that cycle becomes rotational. I do it this time, it's time for Alfonso, and this time for this X person. So yes, we must empathize with them, but that does not negate the fact that these people we shouldn't ask them the tough questions. And that's what I want to know. Unfortunately, Moses is not picking our call. We hope to get to this family, the Blamos and all of these people, to ask them the tough questions. How long they been knowing this guy here? How they need to answer questions. They all need to come clean so that we will process and begin to have a complete and comprehensive idea as to how this thing, how suddenly can this happen, that three young men, something like this happen, and we can't get a tangible result. We can't get authentic answers from the people, not from the government. They are not doing enough. No a percent of interest. No one is being apprehended. People killed. It's the same thing. So I strongly believe there is something much bigger that you don't know, I don't know, and all you're going to leave off with speculations and apprehension based on how the process is being handled. It's just annoying to just have people, and up to this time, we just don't know. For God's sake, it's a sovereign nation. So we just have certain group of people in certain county, whatever devil or what sort of ritual they find themselves in, they grab anybody. Now it happened in it's Bone County now, right? Who knows what's going to be the next county? So it has become a culture. It has become a normal thing, and people think it's normal. It's not. It's abnormal. This is not the kind of life we know. This is not the kind of way to live. And people should be held accountable. The people have the right to to demonstrate, to protest, but it must be done in the context of civility. Because you want to protest, you want to demonstrate and exercise tolerance with the hope that it will produce results. And there must be an organized people to champion that cause. Because first of all, these people are not willing to come clean. So if you go protest because people understand these words are being misused, misimplied. So when you go express, you have the less power. When you go express your disagreement with the people and you begin to do things contrary to your aim, or you do not have a set goal, then you dilute the whole purpose of your goal. That's why when you're doing these things, it must be organized. You must have a leadership. You must have a planned position. You must be able to communicate and present these people. And that's why sometimes I feel bad that the international community will call them, but they don't listen to us, because the manner and the context in which we channel our grievances and people who, the way they conduct themselves. Until we can learn that, that would be much better. But I think it is unacceptable that up to this time, more than 5, 6 days or whatever, to have 3 grown-up people, it's like being in captivity. Whether they are being fed, whether they are being treated, whatever condition they are in, God one knows. And we are not saying the authorities are coming forth with relevant information with respect. So do we have government in government? Do we have authorities in authority? Or is that a separate world that we live? There's an ordinary government there? No, I don't think so. Unless you say they are Boko Haram group there, there's some sort of terror group, then you say, okay, well, these people are being held in hostage. They are looking for ransom. They're looking for some sort of financial gain that we are negotiating. Then let us tell us that is much understood. But if that is not the case, and they say they have whatever group people holding them because you can't go there, you can't do this, I don't buy into that. First and foremost, it should not be existing. You can't do that. It is unacceptable. And it is happening. So it suggests to me we have a different government somewhere that is operating that you and I don't know. And I think that is unfair. To just take people, human beings, and you have the parents are grieving, and nobody can tell us anything tangible, anything concrete. Everything is in abstract. What sort of message is that? So when you go look at another gang of group of people will put together and grab somebody from Sando, from Maryland, and keep there, and they say they are negotiating. You only negotiate with terrorists. Because when they take certain people, then you are obliged to go into negotiations either with financial, some sort of ransom, to give money in exchange, or there's some sort of battle system might kick in. And at the end of the day, sometimes there must be major consequences. But if these people are not people in control of arms, if they are not government within government, why should it be that way? It's taken so much of this process. This is under the purview of the Ministry of Internal Affairs. The Ministry of Internal Affairs is the overseers of these municipal government, like the city, the superintendent, city mayors. They work directly under the supervision of the Ministry of Internal Affairs. And in other countries, internal affairs are called in urbans and whatever name it is, They are more or less responsible for the security of the state, but we have Ministry of Internal Affairs, we have the Justice Ministry. These two ministries must coordinate to manage the affairs of the security. But they are still negotiating, they're still waiting to get information from the superintendent to Internal Affairs maybe to police before they give order or whatever it is. I don't know. That is just not right. That's not what a country should be like in this time, 21st century. This is not the 60s. We are in the 21st century where democracy flourishes. The people should be able to speak. They're still with this Zoe and this bush and that bush. I know they are culture, but I don't think it goes to that extent that people, human lives will be involved. And people still seeking to what? Still negotiating. They're still talking. They're still finding way. So then what's going on? The narrative coming from the Moses and all of that, it just doesn't add up. Nobody is asking tough questions. Citizens are outraged, and people try to protect businesses and put businesses first than human lives. The uniqueness of this country, of America here, when it causes America to spend billions of dollars to rescue one of their own, will do it. This is why you see they can always put their flag up. When it was terrorists, when it caused them to say, okay, we will spend this money or we will use our military experience to rescue that person, believe me or not. They already have the CEO team. They have trained people. They will do it. That's what country, that should be the aim of a country first and foremost, to protect its citizen. No matter who you are, which political, you never hear when they say there's American in captivity, they will then ask, is that person is a Democrat or is a Republican or is an independent? No. You have been saying as a citizen. So when will we have all of that in our country? You have three grown men went somewhere to do a piece of job, and people come with a fairy tale, kingdom capsa, this one do there, chief, I don't know whether the chief went underwater, finding rain, and you got to take a process. What sort of nonsense is that? So these people, they have authority more than central government? Did they have authority more than national government? If their function supersedes the national police of the Republic of Liberia, institutions under the provisions of our Constitution? So who is in charge? Are they waiting for a go-ahead from Chief Zanwa Kawa to say, yes, you go and take these people before they can take them? Is that what they're telling us?
Thank you, Lord, for all you have done. If I don't thank you, I would be so ungrateful. Thank you, Lord, for all you have done. If I don't thank you, I would be so ungrateful. Thank you, Jesus. Holy Kanyo. Tato. Hey, Tato. 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 Kanyo Waleo. Apart from you, there is no other God. Every other God was also counterfeit, but try to you failed me. I tried every other God, and they all let me down. They'll say I should give you something for something. Let me love on the sacrifice before they can bless me. Who says I met you? You never asked me for a dime. You keep on showering, you shower your blessings all over me. If I don't praise you, if I don't worship you, who say mo tadope? You can't me tadope ba. Tato, 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 wakaya waleo, tato, 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 wakaya waleo. You are my light, you are my light. Daddy, you uphold my trust. You are my stronghold. You are my defender. You are my provider. Everything now you. If I don't praise you, who else will I praise? If I don't worship you, who else will I worship? Hey, você me tá do pé, you can't let me tá do pé ba. Tato, 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 tato. Yes, I want mo koyo boleo.
Okay, what? That's a song by Minister Tabinant Johnson. Told us in a crude dialect, right? Yeah, thank you. He's the Ome is very much patient because some of the things that are going on in the country there is just unbelievable. And yet and still, we have bishops, we have clergy, prayer warriors, prayer commandos, all of them in the country, and we see these sort of things going on. You know, it's just quite it's fascinating to see what is unfolding. We the citizens, we have to do better than what we are doing because you can have this sort of behaviors, things going on, and you say international community. The international community will come tell people, say, you have to release your own citizen. No. That's not their job. It is the government. The protections, it is the responsibility of national government to protect its citizen. Whether you for or against, that's the job. And we, the citizens, we are under an obligation to do what is right. But the wickedness has engulfed that country, and I think that divine holiness, it seems that he has departed the country. And that's why you see sometimes these things happen here. It's not for nothing. Yeah, when people find themselves into a demonic society or world, all their thing is in the supernatural, then it becomes, it's no longer natural. The evil forces or the evil has just taken over them, so to do things. And sometimes they do it. So probably we need to check ourselves as a country, as a nation, all of us as an individual. But I just can't comprehend, I can't imagine that people will be kept for these days, no communication with their parents, no communication, they have children, no communication, and then they say it's a process, somebody going on to water or finding rank of one of the victims and all of that, but they are still alive, they are not alive, all sort of circumstantial or superstitious or all sort of apprehension as to the whereabout, wherever they are, no water, they need helicopter. What is that? Is that a different world? Is that a different country within a country? Probably. That's what they are telling us. So then let them do a demarcation so we know where we can go and where we can't go in Liberia. If I'm going Bon County or I go into my own or Grand Gila County, okay, don't go part of this certain part of this county here. That's a different government there. For any reason you go there, you will be seized or you will be arrested. That's a different war. Then let the Liberian people know. But other than that, it just doesn't make sense. And I would say we are a civilized war for people to behave the way they are behaving. It's just terrible. It's bad, and we need to stop that. Well, we came on very late today. We're going to leave it as it is, just to keep you up to speed. Yet, the ruling party has recorded the 500 campaign managers that were deployed in the 15 political subdivisions, according to Chairman Molba Molu. I don't know whether there was some sort of consultations, and that's part of it. Sometimes before you take administrative decisions, you do note sharing. You look at it and you're going to see the result. Are you violating? Are you caught doing anything outside of the established rules and all of that? But I mean, that's what you have when you have people who does not have the guts or only tell the leaders what he wants to hear, and they are unable, they do not have the courage to say, yes, Chief, this one here is not applicable. It is against our law. Nobody is willing to stand up to the task. And it happens. The very oppositions, everybody. There's so much in support of this person, and the person even doing the wrong, nobody get the courage to tell them. Now, they have seen the backlash of it. They're going to, so why in the first place, why they did that? What, to test people to resolve or what? Well, it's good they realize that. That is good. But I think they need to do better. That's why I don't believe in these people. The politicians, the oppositions, are lack of vision. They do not have the country at heart. Opposition, look on the Facebook. They're gashing, they're bashing to one another and all of that. Anybody wake up and just come with anything and throw it out there within the public domain, and people don't question the authenticity of things that they say. I listened to one of the podcasts folk yesterday. What his name? Mazig or Abu Bakr, but and that's what we like, the Liberian people. We create anything. We play in the minds of the people. I heard that somebody saying here information that Elizana Cummings. I'm not a fan of any of these people because, first of all, I don't believe them. I don't see the leadership in them. Elizana Cummings is on the payroll of George Weah. You have it, display it. And people writing, yeah. They don't even question. There's somebody calling to question, he said, no, don't question. This is the behavior of all of these people, all of us. You talking, if you are a talking point, what are you talking for the opposition? But the context, the connotations of your conversations clearly suggest, which is okay, you can be what you be, and all of them behave the same way. You Prince Sharif on the other end, the Michael Gilmans, these are friends on the other end, but they do not accommodate other ideas. They do not accept other Liberians that have opposing view or who needs more clarification. And what the gentleman called last night, he said, you want to question me, so am I lying? Okay, you came out with a statement. You came out, you are very vehement. You say you have the evidence, you say you have the proof. Display it. So we will know. If you can't display it, then I will also say you are one of those that are causing problem, because these are people who say they are political leaders. And if you get information that you strongly believe it is authentic, it is genuine, and you can't display it, but you want to talk about it, and you are also harboring evildoers in our country, then you are also a collaborator. You saw a crime being committed and you did not report it, or you report it, you did not provide details of the crime. Yeah, I saw people killing. You saw the people, yeah, you know the people, yes, I will not tell them. You also must be apprehended by police because you witnessed a crime being executed and you on purpose did not report it to authority. So you are indirectly involved as a facilitator of that crime. You saw people doing something that is not right, and you did not call anybody attention. Well, if you don't want to report it, don't say it. Or I can either simply tell you, say it's a lie, it's a makeup. If I have information that Alexander Coleman, who wants to be a president of the Republic of Liberia, who has accused the government of lack of transparency, to bad governance, and then I come to realize and I get the information that he is whatever agent or is being assisted by the government, that's huge. So why should I keep that information that I can display my proof? You want to believe me? You want to believe that? I have it, but I can't talk it. You don't have no damn thing. They lie. They create all sort of like confusion around here. So they are not honest to their followers. They are not honest to our country. So you see, all of their supporters, they're bashing, arguing, cussing one another. Then should I take these people to be as serious people as alternative to my country? They are more or less, they are all of the same, or they will end up being worse. Because if you have that, if I'm a mouthpiece of any of these groups, and I have something, it can be who are supporting you, believe me or not. It comes out. This is why I'm not just easily blown away by sort of by news, because you must have at least 3 sources in order for that news to be validated, in order for it to become a news. But to sit and talk and talk and talk, create no solution, no conversation, no dialogue. Nobody knows their reporter. Nobody knows where they're getting their information. I get it. You get to display it. This guy, this former DHS security officer that works with Trump, he wrote an article, the anonymous, or the authors of the anonymous bias. He was in a system. He was more or less of a whistleblower. He was against what was happening in the system. So he decided to put something out there. And everybody were busting their head trying to figure out who that person is. At the end of the day, he came and said, I did it. He not just only that, he talks about it. He wrote a memoir. Why will you have information about somebody who is a major political actor, who was involved in the political process in Liberia, that you claim is being assisted by national government? And you say you have that information, somebody sent it to you, and you can put it up there. So then you are part of the problem. And I see where we are going as a nation. This is why we don't come to a result. But because we get a fish brain here, when people talk things that we want to hear, we buy into those narratives and we do not question them, and we agree with them because that's what we want to hear. And unfortunately, this is not what we do on this network. Your brain are short-sighted. So when it's right here only to the face, it just sees something right before. They don't think even to beyond. We got to be authentic. We got to be factual in things that we are doing. And I always see you as a corrupt person as more than the people right now. So people get mad for a little thing, for their own personal thing, and it just bucket everything or and put everybody in the basket of deplorable. I think that's just unfair. That's why we need to be very careful how we go out to sort news, because news that we listen to, we process those news, and the hair is a little small to contain everything, and whatever you process, you end up implementing actions to, because when you put it in your hair, when you occupy that space, it can be contained no longer, and then it bursts into flame. That's how they lie and just talk things. Send me the information. If you're not willing to publish it, send it to me. I will publish it for you. So that we'll tell him, say, hey, this guy is one of the dishonest person. You know, neither he run for the presidency of the Republic of Liberia. He's not clean. He professes to be clean, but he's not. And when you will have it, you will keep it. And then at the end of the day, on the Liberian people, you like him, then you come back tomorrow to come complain that he was there. You talk about it, yeah, you talk about it, you did not display it, you did not do enough to tell us, to convince us that indeed he's not right. So then what's the point if you can't display it? Other your party driven. That's it. Other than party driven. They do these things because they want to be politically accommodated or rewarded as well. They are not doing it for the country. 99% of the people here, they know what is real, but they deliberately lie and play mischief and deceive the audience, create that sort of conspiracy theory, make up lies, make up things to play right into the hands of the listener. And the listener goes with it. They don't seek second opinion. They don't question their authenticity. The facilitator or the anchor does not allow anybody to disagree with him. They are unable to argue to views. They are unable to defend their position because what they are saying is just a makeup. And if you can't defend what you say, then you just simply lie. There's no any other thing that we can make out of it. That's it. If you can tell us, if you can display it, yeah, if you don't want to disclose your source, that's fine. I can disclose my source who tells me information. But when I come out and say, this is what happens, if I'm defending it, I put it up. I publish it. Don't talk it that you can't even display anything either by visual, either by audio, or something that authentic, that is proven, that other people will say, okay, this is what this guy's saying, this is what he's saying. But we sleep, we go into bed, we go to bed, we dream, okay, tomorrow this is what I'm going to say. And I know very well this is what the audience interested in listening to. I'll make sure carefully, good, put it together and present that. And everybody busts into flame. And it starts spraying like a wildfire or some sort of a hurricane blowing across the length and breadth. I think that is unfair. And people should be held accountable of these things. If you're on my program, if I say something, if I can't accord you the opportunity to question what I'm saying and say, okay, this network is so network, go to other place, you doing something, then of course, you got to scratch your head, man, whether that person is serious or is another ballot driven. Maybe they want to be at the end of the day to be like Kalasco, to get closer to these people, politicians. That's the only way. So they need to tell us their true identity. They profess not to be with a specific group of people, but their talking point, their argument, their presentations, one can make an educated guess who they are and what they are aiming at. If you are a propaganda guy for a specific political party, then that's a different thing. Then you will do all you can, because then your job there is to blackmail your opponent and to elevate, to promote your people. So then that's a different thing to be a propagandist. It's a different thing. Or you just want to be an entertainer, then that's a different thing. But when you are disseminating news, then that's a different thing in itself. So you people need to ask these people who they are, what they represent, what is their goal. Then if the entertainment, go for it. Go and entertain yourself. It wash your stress away. You know? Then you wash your stress away after a whole day work. But if they are serious, if they are authentic, if they want to have a conversation about their country, they must be able to accommodate people that disagree with them. They must be able to have people that disagree with their opinions, their assertions, and their talking point, so that they will be convinced what they are saying is right. But when you call here and I can't dialogue with you, I cannot exchange with you to get your side and want to sanction your voice, and that speaks volumes. And you should make a guess who I am, what I represent, and what my goals are. But unfortunately, most of us, our viewers, listeners or people out there, because people are so much in desperations of news, because there are a lot of things happening in the news cycle. So it is easy that I can make up something that I know exactly. If I want to do it, I know exactly. Okay, this is what is happening in the world today. This is what the people want to hear. And I can put things together and come and do it and say, and people will say, yeah, this is what he's saying. But technically, does that help? What am I creating? What sort of impression? Am I adding insult to injury? I don't. That's your guess. Well, it's 3:59 Eastern Standard Time. Sunday tomorrow. I'm gonna be hosting. Tomorrow we're gonna have an LPR special at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow is Friday. I'm going to be hosting somebody who nurtures the ruling party, the CDC. He's now a candidate, independent candidate, a contestant in Mosorado County. Isaac Toka, the chairman emeritus of the CDC. He contested the last time around in River Says, but he has left CDC. To our understanding, he's an independent candidate. So I got to have him here to how he came to that decision making, to what led him to leave, what he know now than before, and he's going on. And why should we even believe him? These are tough questions. What does he have in store for Mosorado County? Will the people of Mosorado County buy into his narrative? Isaac Vatoga will be my guest tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, joining me from Liberia in an exclusive, and of course, you, our listening audience, you will participate as well. And then on Sunday at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, student activist Martin Colley will be joining us here in a wide range of conversation here. How he left Liberia to what he makes of the process, his critical analysis on the government and as well as the opposition. Does he believe the election should go ahead as planned? What can he forecast considering the political play out in Liberia? Those are going to be our conversations in the coming days. Tomorrow, 4 o'clock, Asava Togat, former chairperson, 2 terms chair of the CDC USA, is no longer in the party. He's going as an independent in Morovia, contesting for the seat of Mosorado County. And then Sunday, I'm going to be having Martin K. and College, the student activist who fled Liberia. We are hearing the government is inducting him, all of this. We're going to be having all of this conversation. Until then, I'm Alfonso Z and Sort of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV.
Hallelujah, 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 hey, hallelujah, giving, hallelujah, hey. The highest praise, hallelujah, give him the highest praise, hallelujah, give me the highest praise. In the morning when I wake up, in the night when I wake up, I will lift up my voice to heaven and give you the highest praise. Hallelujah to my King, hallelujah to my Father, hallelujah to my Jesus. I bow before the throne when I look at all the wonder and I see all the creation, the beauty of the universe. You never, never change. You never, never lie. You never, never change. You never, never change. Hallelujah to my Jesus. Hallelujah. 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 Hey, hey. Hallelujah. Hey. Give him, hallelujah, hey. Give him the highest praise, hallelujah, hey. Give him the highest praise, hallelujah, hey.
You've worked for months to bring your or your client's event to life, but unfortunately, the world had another plan. In reality, the only thing you lost is the venue. We take your vision for hosting a virtual conference and bring it to life online. No matter how complex your agenda is, we produce a smooth, engaging experience. Call the Liberia Public Radio today and schedule your event. Our number is 682-433-8802. If you prefer to submit your request via email,